Today, I'm going to have a look at a number of stories that have really kind of caught my attention about what's going on in the oil and gas industry globally. So today we've got Mike's Musings. In today's video, we're going to have a look at what's been happening in Uruguay. Is it the next Orange Basin of Namibia, where such a huge success has been seen recently? We're going to take a look at the E&I Côte d'Ivoire discovery that's just been announced in the last couple of weeks. Look across at the UK, what's been happening over there. We've talked about 33rd round in a couple of videos. We've talked about the collapsing oil and gas industry in the UK. Who's to blame? Well, we'll come on to that. We've also got little bits on Albania. Don't feature Albania too often. There's a map showing some of the areas we're going to be talking about, and in the background there's all the fields and all the discoveries that we have within our TROVE database worldwide. We cover a lot of the globe. So we take a quick look at Uruguay, and this article here is from Offshore Energy, and you can see that on this map here, Challenger Energy, they have the OFF1 block, and most recently I think they've signed the OFF3 block. But OFF1, this block down here, it was awarded back in May 2020. The OFF3 was actually signed, the license was signed on the 11th of March 2024. Now, Challenger Energy have farmed out, and Chevron are the company who farmed in. Now, Chevron will be taking 60% of the equity in the block and will be operator, with 40% going to Challenger Energy. Now, what the deal consists of is a $12.5 million worth of cash, a carry on 3D seismic up to a cap of $15 million, and 50% Challenger well cost carry capped at $20 million if a well ends up being drilled into the future. So it's a great deal for Challenger Energy. It's also a great opportunity for Chevron to get into this very exciting play. And could it be a lookalike for what's happening on the other side of the Atlantic on the conjugate margin in the Orange Basin of Namibia? Just a quick reminder, we have got all of these video titles. They're on our channel. We have over 4,500 subscribers, and we want to get to 5,000. We are watched by geoscientists, they're watched by engineers, new ventures teams, managers, CEOs. What sort of companies watch us? Well, everything from super majors, mid-caps, NOCs, supply chain giants, small caps, politicians, technical experts, general public, everybody who's interested in energy. So if you haven't seen them, please watch our videos, and hopefully they're very, very informative and interesting. So I was leafing through my copy of the Albanian Daily News, as I do, and in a first for the channel, we've got a feature on Albania. Now, this is Shpirag, and the headline from March 2024, it said that oil was confirmed, but there were some delays on testing. Here on the map on the left, you can see here is the location onshore of the Shpirag discovery. In fact, there's now 5 wells on this. And here's our entry from TROVE database. So if you want to know about how this discovery has developed through time, this is the place to go and get all this information from our TROVE database. Now, I love this. This is the location of the discovery, and I say 5 wells. And basically, it's all about ramps and overthrusts, very much a collisional tectonic setting. And Shpirag is described as a thrust anticline oil field. Now, the hydrocarbon is actually reservoired in fractured carbonates. Now, the oil column is in excess of 800 meters, and that's generally a sort of a light oil. So it's quite deep at just over 5 kilometers depth, and it has flowed several thousand barrels a day on test. Now, the facies, well, it looks like some kind of calciturbidite. The age is Upper Cretaceous to Eocene. And it's really kind of got to the point now where, with 5 data points, that operator Shell should be in a position, along with partners Petromanas, to move to a field development plan and make a decision to actually develop this field. Now, thrust plays can have very, very extensive oil columns, and Shpirag, 800 meters, wouldn't you just like to find that in one of your wells? Next, we're moving to Côte d'Ivoire. Now, we did a video back in May 2023 on the Baleine discovery, and this is a great story. E&I fast-tracking a development out there, and it's worth a watch just to understand both how the project was delivered so efficiently and also just the geology of the region, how interesting it is. Now, the latest well here, Murene 1X, it's hit oil and gas condensate across multiple Sanamanian intervals. Now, the primary in-place resource estimate, somewhere between 1 and 1.5 billion barrels of oil equivalent. Baleine is about 120 kilometers east of Murene. Here's Murene here, and this blue dot is the location of Baleine. Murene was featured in our 2024 wells to watch. Now, we are going to be doing an upcoming video on that. We spotted Murene as being an interesting well, and it looks like it's been very, very successful. Now, it's located in ultra-deep water, and operator Eni with partner Petrosi. In our most recent video, which was looking at the Sangomar development, this would be Senegal's first production. That's a video that's well worth watching. We asked if people were interested in looking at the GTA project, which is on the border between Mauritania and Senegal. Now, this slide was in that video. We didn't get much feedback online, and that's fine because not everybody wants to let it be known publicly for everybody to see their comments. But, you do have the option. You can always send us an email, and we are very, very discreet. If you want to send any comment, good, bad, or indifferent, we do listen and we take your ideas on board. Now, what's significant about GTA? Well, this is a BP project. There's the vessel there, just pulling into port. And it's going to be Africa's deepest water oil and gas development. And the water depth here, 2,850 meters. That's 9,550 feet. This is a heck of a project. And we've got a lot of encouragement. We will be doing a video on that shortly. So subscribe to the channel. And so on to the UK. Now, we're still awaiting the third tranche of the 33rd licensing round awards. Now, it really is kind of non-news. We haven't got anything to report. There has been no announcement. 426 days since the round closed, and that was on the 13th of March 2024. So it's been around 1.2 years that there have been deliberations going on. Now, we do know that there was a problem and an issue that had to do with rock dumping, but that's apparently been resolved. And the major contributor to the rock dumping increase that's happened is, in actual fact, is the wind farms, so many of them, and requiring dumping on the various cables and around the installations. So, that's some environmental upset. The problem, I think, really going forward is going to be the commitment that's been made and the legislation. I'm not sure exactly where it's up to, but I think it must be at or about its final reading, that there's a commitment to actually have annual licensing rounds. Now, this, despite the fact that, we've got a general election in 2024. And I think what we're seeing at the minute in the UKCS is a sort of general election paralysis. We know of deals that have just halted, and we'll explain why. Oh, there's the two videos, by the way, that we've already done on the 33rd licensing round award. I know it's got only local interest, but if you haven't seen them, myself and Colin Percival, we try and have a look and opine on what the results might mean. So let's look at election paralysis. Well, the Conservatives, they've come out in the most recent budget and extended the windfall tax. Now, that's on oil and gas in the UKCS, the United Kingdom Continental Shelf. They've extended it by 1 year to 2029. That's not particularly helpful for anybody considering making an investment. Now, their hope is that they're going to squeeze out another $1.5 billion out of oil and gas companies. But, although the headlines are always showing BP and Shell and others making huge profits, well, yes, they are, but they're actually making their profits overseas and they're paying their taxes overseas. So it's great that we have successful British companies that are making profits, and that's great for our economy, but they're not going to be paying. They don't have significant tax liabilities in the UK. But it is companies like Harbour Energy, Ithaca, Serica, and companies like that who are trying to grow assets. They're the next tier of companies coming in to try and extend the life of the North Sea. And, this really hampers any investment that they can make. Now, we did see recently that, the Tories have said, well, actually, we're going to have to build some new gas plants for generating electricity because some of the existing ones are old and there is a lot of demand. And they recognise that renewables alone, they're not reliable, they're not all year round. If we're going to offset and avoid blackouts and brownouts, then we have to actually rely on gas, because nuclear just takes decades from investment to decision to actually coming online. But nuclear is certainly a good option for the future. But for now, yeah, we need some more gas capacity. Now, the problem for me, and we've studied this and talked about it in our video on the collapse of the UK oil and gas industry, is that, well, if we're having to import oil and gas to satisfy demand, and, we're talking about demand here, that's what's driving our need for the oil and this goes without saying. It's why we have oil and gas. It's people want to use it for all the things, heating their homes, driving their cars, for industry, etc., etc. But if we have to import it, well, it's going to be bad for the balance of payments. Lots and lots of money is going to be leaving these shores to pay for it. There's going to be a massive amount of redundancies and decommissioning costs, which are all losses to the Treasury ultimately, and we are going to see a higher carbon footprint than if we produce them locally. And what of Labour? Well, yes, Labour. Now, Labour are threatening to end the reinvestment allowances. I think one MP referred to them as a loophole. Well, I mean, the EPL was a reasonably good idea, an attempt to actually see if we could reinvest in new projects to actually extend the life of the North Sea, rather than handing over the tax that was due to the Treasury. Now, the problem is that after what is now 2029, we don't know what the tax situation is going to be. Oil and gas developments are multi-year investments, and if you don't know what sort of level of taxation you're going to be exposed to in a few years' time, then it's kind of difficult to work out if something's economic and worth investing in. Well, I think with Labour, they've recently realised that some of the pre-election promises, they were talking about spending £30 billion a year on renewables, but of course they've toned that one down, and they've done it because, well, maybe there isn't the money, and maybe it just didn't make much sense anyway. So we've seen recent deals, and we're aware of recent deals that have just simply collapsed, stopped, investments being deferred, and companies have just decided, well, that's it. We're not going to spend money in the UK. We're going to spend it overseas. And if that happens, then it's not good for the UK. It's not good for the economy, and it makes little sense to me. So no business can invest with so much fiscal uncertainty, and that's what we see in recent times from both the parties. But still, politicians, great. Well, you've got to kind of make a decision. Which of the two parties do you think is the lesser of the two evils? But somehow it doesn't really kind of feel right. So we see everything moving to the right. Now that's delays abounding. Do have a look at our video on the collapse of the UK oil and gas industry. And we made that just days before INEOS announced that they would be closing the Grangemouth refinery up in Scotland, Scotland's only refinery, and that is going to be closed down. It didn't just refine the crude oil coming from the North Sea, but it also was responsible for making a lot of petrochemicals, making some of the plastics that we need. And of course now all the oil's probably just going to go to a terminal, put into tankers, and they'll be shipped off to be refined somewhere else, and all that money gets lost. Anyway, I don't want to be too depressing, but there are some issues, and let's just hope common sense prevails before too long. So in the words of Mitch Flagg, CEO at Serica, he says the extension of the EPL, it was pretty disappointing. Current oil and gas prices, they don't really represent the sort of huge windfall profits that, yes, certainly last year we saw for the UK producers. But the increased tax burden is simply damaging UK jobs, damaging the economy, and sending companies to go and invest overseas where they see better return. So other UK news, well, this article from Offshore, BP are assessing their options for a third Clair field project west of Shetland. This was announced by Harbour Energy, who are involved, but BP are the operator here. Here's the Clair field on the map here. And it's really at the southern end of Clair field. It hasn't been as well developed as other parts of the field. And so there is a view to actually spend more money and actually go into a phase 3 there. Now, Been lots of activity in the last year. BP's drilled 4 wells at Clair and also 3 producers at the nearby Schiehallion field, which is this field down here, just highlighted with the red pointer. And it'll probably be some kind of a subsea development and tie back to the Clair Ridge platform. Now, on this map here, this blue polygon here, this is where rock grows. They've acquired Ithaca's 50% in license P2593, having already acquired Spark Exploration's 50% equity back in March 2023. Now it's 100% rock grows. They've got things like the Tuck discovery in there and a number of prospects on the Clair Ridge like Boomer, Cherry and Sammy. So an area to be watching, and hopefully there'll be more news to report later in the year. So what do we summarize today? Well, lots of things are happening. We've got lots of news videos that are on the way, and we've got a number of them in the editing room ready to go out in the course of the next few days. So if you don't subscribe to the channel, just click that subscribe button and you'll probably be notified then when we come out with a new video. We're waiting impatiently for the overdue license round awards, in particular in the southern North Sea, and we hope to do a video when that comes out. May not be the same day because we've got other commitments in the coming weeks. But thanks for watching. Hope to see you back on our channel before too long. Have a great day. Bye for now. One of the hardest things about making these videos is being here on the drill floor with all this stuff going on all around me. It's very noisy, not really conducive to making videos, but hey, we do our best. We cover a lot of the globe.